Hi everyone, Grada Robertson here. And tonight I have a special subject and a special message for you, something that's close to my heart. It's to do with mending your relationship with your mom or your dad. I want to talk about it tonight because my father died nearly a year ago. It will be at the end of July, it's coming up, it will be the anniversary of his death. And how I remember him is by putting a photo in a glass like this, and I have the glasses in my kitchen. So every time I reach for a drink of water, I see my father when he was probably in his late 20s. That's a good picture of him. Then I also have a picture of my mom, and that was me as a baby. And here's my dad with my eldest sister, okay? So I just want to talk a little bit tonight why that is important, why it's important to have internally a good relationship with your mom and dad. So my mom and dad both died, and I realized that that doesn't finish the relationship that I have with my parents at all. If anything, I feel that I have a better relationship or a closer connection with my mom and my dad now, and that's great because that's part of my healing journey. And I was reading a really interesting article this week about how impactful our relationships with our fathers and our mothers are. So there's been a lot of science done in the last 10 years that talks about DNA memories, how our parents' traumas can be relived in our life and we're not conscious of it. So all this is, of course, is to bring awareness to your issues so that you can do something about it. Or even just having an awareness of your issues is like turning the light on, and the trauma imprint will lose its power. This is something I feel absolutely passionate about, and it's my life's work to see patterns inside families. And I've had the privilege now of working with people for, well over a decade, closer to 2 decades nearly. So quite often I've worked with a grandmother years ago, and then the children, and then the grandchildren now. So it's easier for me to see the trauma patterns because I have a sort of that's my work. And I guess I have a special type of brain that stores people's traumas in a compartment, and then I remember, I remember that from your parent, or I remember this from your uncle or from the great grandmother, and so on. Well, I don't tell the client, but I make those connections. So in my brain, I have a huge, library now of connections. And then this week I came across an article that's done by like a real scientist in Harvard University, so like different to me. And these people have had the chance to do studies that went over 35 years. Every 35 years, they started off with 21-year-olds, and then every 35 years they asked the same questions, and then they checked out their health. And so what came up was really interesting. So there were like just a few simple questions, like they asked the 21-year-olds, what's your relationship with your mom and what's your relationship with your dad? And they had multiple choice boxes, so it couldn't be easier. And they had to choose if their relationship was either warm and close, friendly and tolerant, or strained and cold. And then 35 years later, they did it again, so each 35 years. And in the end, the people who chose with their mother, for example, tolerant or strained and cold, so the people who said strained and cold relationship with their mom, 91% of them had significant health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, alcoholism, addictions, compared to 45% who mentioned that they had a warm and friendly relationship with their mom. And it was actually nearly the same with the fathers, not quite as impactful, but people who had a strained relationship with their father, 82% had significant health problems, compared to 50% of people who said they had a warm relationship with their father. So that proves to me that our relationships with our parents never die, even if our parents have moved on. So this is a very important area of my life's work, is for people to create peace inside themselves. And that's why I have put my mom and dad inside a drinking glass, which means every day, multiple times a day, I get a jolt when I grab a glass of water. I don't grab these 2 glasses, but I get a jolt, I get a reminder, even subconsciously, of my parents. I'm reminded of my parents, and then I'm reminded of my commitment, the commitment that I made to stop the traumas in my family. I want them to stop with me. I want to draw the line there. I don't want any generational trauma to be passed down to my children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren, because I have seen what that does in people's lives. And of course, I know I have passed traumas down the line, but by me being committed to heal me now, like every day, and by having awareness of what's going on, like how I'm reacting to people or how I'm reacting to myself, and by healing myself on a minute-to-minute basis, sometimes second to second, if life is intense, I know that it's not going any further than me. And I also know that if I heal some of these really deep-seated issues now, that also dissolves that frequency in my children and in my grandchildren today. So even though, I didn't do my work earlier on when I was young because I didn't know about it. And besides, we're also not meant to be perfect. We're meant to work with what we know. So tonight I want to take you through a bit of a practice that will benefit your inner child. Because as you know, I'm talking, it's the inner child in us that's stuck and crying. It's the inner child in us, the inner child, the baby that didn't get its needs met. And it's not our parents' fault, I want to make that clear. It's not my mom's fault that I've got issues in my tissues, but I know for sure that I inherited a truckload, literally, of my mom's issues in my body. Even when she died and I was sitting with my mom, I had the strangest experience that, like a powerful force of energy jumped across from her body into mine, and it doubled me over. I was doubled over in pain for hours afterwards. And as to this day, I don't know exactly what it was, except it was some sort of energy transfer that was highly unpleasant, to say the least, and highly painful. And I know that a year later, I ended up in a, critically injured body, the same way my mom's body was, because my mom was deformed. I now have scars all over my body in almost identical places that my mom had. So, you can't even call that coincidental, because nothing is coincidental and everything is energy in our universe. And once you start to recognize patterns, it makes your life so much more interesting and rewarding and meaningful. That's right, because the universe is your friend. It's not your enemy. The universe is your friend. And the universe is meaningful. So there are meanings inside meanings, inside meanings. And your life means everything to the universe. So my father died a year ago at the end of July. I've forgotten the exact date. And I've noticed some bodily changes in me since he died. His his death was different to my mom. It was like my mom had more yang energy, surprisingly. Like her energy left her body like a cannonball, you could say. And my father had more yin energy, which surprised me because during his life he was more aggressive. But when he was dying, I could sense his energy seeping out very, very softly. And it kept going for hours afterwards. And we had to leave because that's what happens in today's world. We had to leave the hospital room and they took his body before, I felt his spirit was gone. But his cells were still full of his energy and that was still gradually leaving his body. I felt since my father died, his presence is in my back or behind my back, somewhere very, very close. And so that's been a year now, and I've been working with my clients in a different way. So when I recognize that my client is suffering from a trauma that's not their own, it's a generational trauma. Let's say it's from a grandpa, let's say Poppy, then I know that the Poppy is right there in the room when we do the healing, because I know for sure that the grandfather doesn't want the grandchild, who could be a 40-year-old guy for all we know. Like my client could be a 40-year-old man. You don't have to be spiritual for this to work or not, right? I sense that the grandfather is right there because he doesn't want his grandson to suffer his misfortunes that started with him. And so today, our our ancestors who've transitioned into the unseen world, that's all it is. We can't see them, but they are there. They are surrounding us and they want to heal us. That's what I feel. I feel that so clearly now since both my mom and dad have died. But I caught the clarity really since my father died. So tonight I want to do a little bit of a practice with that and see if you can tune into somebody, a loved one who you've lost, and it can even be your own unborn child. If you've lost a child, or your mom and your dad, or an uncle, or a friend. And in order to restore your relationship with your mom or your dad, you need to do it for yourself. Okay, that's the message, because if you don't start working on that now, you literally don't have, your life isn't as good for many reasons, and your physical body will suffer as well. The science proves that. So we're going to get in touch with the inner child. And the inner child is to do with our base chakra or our root chakra. So where our bottom sits on the chair, that's like where our base chakra is. And then the energy goes down into the earth. And the energy of our base chakra is red. And just let me explain how this works. So at the point of conception, or maybe even before we are conceived, but probably around the point of conception, our presence activates our base chakra already. And energetically, how that works is our essence or our spirit starts preparing the groundwork for the little child to come in, for little you to come into this world. So it starts to connect with the tribe already. So let's say with your brothers or sisters, or your mom and dad, your grandparents. Energetically, it's laying all those roots already in those connections. And then we come into our body, then we're born, and then the first 7 years, it's all about the base chakra. So the first 7 years of our lives is really where a lot of things go wrong, and it's not our parents' fault. Even if you've had the worst parents, or if you have suffered badly at the hands of your parents, I still, I personally believe that your parents still did the best they could do under the circumstances. And so let's say if your mom didn't treat you well, I invite you to go back into your mom's childhood and see what happened there. And then you probably discover, you know, that she didn't get enough as a child. And then why did that happen? And then, then you can go into her parents and what was going on for them. They probably, you know, a lot of parents suffered during the war and so on. So there is a whole lot of history going on in there that's actually alive in your cells today. So, so the base chakra is what needs to be strengthened for you to have a good relationship with your parents and your inner child. And you can do that today with your own mind and, you know, with your own intentions today. So there was something else I wanted to say, but I can't think of it now. So we're just going to start doing this first. So the first thing that gets in the way, really, that blots our vision and mars our lens, is to do with fear. So when we're like a little jelly baby like that size, say about 9 weeks old in your mom's tummy, in the embryo, as a little embryo, that's when the fear paralysis kicks in. And the fear paralysis is like before our nervous system was developed, but we started to feel we started to become conscious and aware of sensations. The first thing that we become aware of is fear, and it's called the fear paralysis reflex. And for most of that, for most people in the world today, the fear paralysis is still active. It's meant to be integrated into the larger nervous system as we age. You know, definitely by the age 1 or 2, it's meant to be integrated. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Unfortunately, most of us, it's still fully active, messing with our heads, constantly putting us in fear mode and in stress mode. And what's the sensation, what's the feeling that is pushed out by fear? What's the opposite to fear? If you can ask yourself. It's love, okay? So love is at the opposite end of the spectrum. So if this is like a healthy body and this is fear and that's love, if you're constantly in fear state, your fear is up here, your love is here. And that doesn't mean that you're not lovable or that you aren't loved. What it simply means is you're not capable of receiving love, you're not capable of feeling love, and you're not capable of relating in a loving way to yourself or anybody else around you, so you're going to have a hard life. So first of all, I'm going to invite you to put your hands like this, cross them over, and put them like on your chest. So like you can't see it, but I'm putting my hands on my heart. And that immediately has a calming effect. Close your eyes. I'm just inviting you to close your eyes. And feel your feet on the floor. Now think of a time in your childhood, think of yourself as a little baby or a little infant. And just check in your body, check in with your cells and the cells of your body. If an age springs to mind where you felt hurt or small or shamed or diminished or a physical trauma, doesn't matter, just any stickiness where you feel you're stuck there. So just breathe into your body and breathe out. Just feel yourself become more and more relaxed. Bring your mom and dad to mind now. And bring yourself into the foreground as a little child. So I see myself at age 2. I don't know why, but I just see myself there. So now I'm becoming conscious for me that there was a significant trauma for me at age 2. And you can take note in your body. Maybe your body says, when you were still in the womb, before you were born, was it before you were born, during the birth, or after your birth? And just take note of a time, choose a time that you feel you are stuck there, you're still stuck there in hurt, there's something that's unresolved there. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through a small healing meditation. So I'm going to be there for you in spirit. So you just go back to that particular time, see yourself, bring yourself to mind as a little child or an unborn baby, and bring your mom forward and bring your dad forward. Now I want you to visualize the color green. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine a beautiful scent, like something that smells beautifully, a smell that you love. Because a sense of smell is connected to your base chakra. And we're healing your base chakra. So with each breath in, you gift yourself the gift of that beautiful scent. Breathing it in and out, right into every cell of your body, of that little person that's stuck in hurt and pain. Now shrink your mom and dad till they're your size. Shrink your mom and dad till they're a little boy and a little girl, exactly the same age as you are when you were hurt, where you were stuck. So my mom and dad, they're both age 2 now. Now see yourself hold hands with your mom and dad, and they're holding hands, so the 3 of you are holding hands. Just allow the 3 of you to play together. Maybe exchange something, exchange a message, whether they ESP, and it's a message of love and support. You're all equals now. We're all the same age. All came into a human body. You're all challenged in the same way. You're all doing the best you can do. And just allow yourself to experience some fun and play together. I invite you to step out into a green meadow. Remember the color green heals the heart. And feel the earth under your feet. And earth is for the root chakra. See your own little feet pitter-patter on the grass. And see the little feet of your mom and dad. How tiny and cute they are. And innocent. Just enjoy their innocence. Before it was broken. And spend some time together. Maybe it's muddy now and you can throw some mud around. And just do the stuff that little kids like to do. The 3 of you bonding together. Being completely carefree. No generational traumas, no responsibilities. Just unconditional love. And just tune into your own heart now and see how great your capacity is to experience love. When there is no fear, you're just carefree. Now I want you to fast forward to when you were a little child, so back to reality. And now you see your mom and dad as parents. And they're struggling with their responsibilities and being adults, making ends meet, having no energy, wanting to love you and doing the best for you. And now you realize that everything is okay. And now just tune into your body again and into your heart. And just check in with yourself. Where are your parents now? Are they here with you in the moment? Or your grandparents? So just tune in to your ancestors who've passed on, but they're here with you. Are they to your right? Are they to your left? Are they behind you? Are they in front of you? Maybe there's a whole row of them behind you. And just open up to their strengths. They've given you weaknesses, and now they also want to give you strength. They want to give you the benefits from all that they've gained. So just breathe in something, a special gift that they have for you, that will uplift you. Breathe that into every cell of your body, whatever that gift is. Maybe unconditional love, stability, clarity, confidence, courage, support, all that. Prosperity. So breathe another big breath into your body and bring that energy in. And finish off 3 deep breaths, the color green. And give yourself the gift of thankfulness and unconditional love that you feel for yourself and for your parents and for your ancestors. And feel that connection with all that is. So in a minute, I'm going to invite you to open your eyes. Okay, so I just want you to remember that your parents' struggles and traumas, there is a possibility, a strong possibility, that they're being played out in your life today. And that's not the end of the world, by the way. That means you can have awareness around it when you realize that today your emotions and your struggles probably didn't start with you. And then bring in the help and support of your loved ones, the ones who've passed on, because they haven't died. In reality, they're more alive than ever. And they can give you a lot of energy today. They can open doors for you. They can heal your body for you. They can remove your diseases for you. But the key is, that you start to work with yourself in the first place. Have compassion. Compassion is the door that opens the door to many things, and have a sense of gratefulness. If you have a really, really difficult or tortured relationship with either your mom or your dad, the statistics say that you're going to suffer. So then there is another exercise that you can do, and I have no time for you to take you through it. But instead of visualizing your mom and having a real close connection with your mom, if that's too difficult at this point, simply work on the umbilical cord that's between the two of you, and start healing that first. So just leave the other person out of it and just simply start working on the bridge first, or the umbilical cord. And you can heal that with a color, with words, with vision, with a scent, or, use your imagination. And so I hope that you found this practice tonight helpful and insightful. I'm really involved in my own personal process with that right now, this year. And I will possibly talk a little bit more about that next week, because it's a big subject. And it's going to change your life for the better if you, start practicing, start loving yourself a bit more, and do whatever it takes. So thanks for tuning in, and take some time every night to tune into yourself, check in rather, and everything is welcome. That's the other thing. Everything is welcome when you check in with yourself. The good, the bad, the ugly. So don't just don't just notice, the beautiful love that's in your heart. Also notice your feelings of impatience or irritation or repulsion or everything that's there. It's all welcome, because you are bigger than all that. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope to share more with you next week. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.